More and more states are loosening child labor laws to allow teenagers to work in positions that were deemed too dangerous. Just decades ago, this stuff that they're doing is too dangerous, and now it's okay. Teens can work wherever you want to work, right?
And they're getting killed. They're getting killed by sticking their arms into this heavy machinery, trying to clean it out. They're getting killed in the logging industry up north. They're getting killed. We've had 3 in 5 weeks, 3 teenagers, 16-year-olds, who are now able to work in these jobs that just a few years ago were legally off limits. But we've got all these lawmakers say, we've got a labor shortage. Let's fill it with the kids. What's the worst that could happen? Well, this is the worst that could happen. Children are dying doing things that, again, a year ago would have been illegal for them to do.
16-year-old died in a logging business, Wisconsin. Shouldn't have even been doing what he was doing. 16-year-old died pinned into a conveyor belt in Missouri. Should not have been trying to clean the conveyor belt. 16-year-old died in another conveyor belt in Mississippi. And so, but what's interesting about this is Missouri, Wisconsin, some of these states are lobbying right now big time to make this legal because they have all this influx of immigrants, right? They want to take these immigrant kids and say, well, you don't have mommy or daddy, why don't you come work for us? I mean, that's what's happening. They're putting these kids in these dangerous jobs.
That is a lot of it, obviously, because that's always been the best source of renewable labor. And you and I have talked about that 100 times. You bring them in, you don't have to give them any training. A lot of them aren't necessarily legal, so you don't have to even pay them the legal amount. And then if they get hurt, you say, well, what are you going to do? You can't sue me because you're here illegally.
Yeah,
so we ship you back, we bring in the next guy.
Yeah, no compensation.
Yeah.
Lost an arm. I'm sorry, Johnny. Your career working on conveyor belts is over. Yeah, you're 16 years old. We're going to have to ship you back to Nicaragua. That's why the U.S. Chamber of Commerce loves this.
Yeah.
That's why the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries are saying, hell yeah, come on across the border. It's inhumane what they're doing to these people. But corporate media looks like it's something benevolent. Like this is, benevolent United States, bring us your tired and hungry. No, bring us your people who are willing to work in jobs where they could easily be killed, maimed, die on the site, and then ship them back. Those are the people we want. And that's what the corporate media won't talk about because it sounds too ugly, doesn't it? It doesn't sound politically correct to really tell the backstory. That is the backstory. It is ghoulish. And that's what's happening to these kids. 160,000 kids injured on the job last year, okay? We've got, with the major border crossings, taking these kids in and having them go to work, it's going to be triple that in 2 years.
Oh, it absolutely will. And part of the reason we also see this big push is because, a bit morbid, is something nobody wants to talk about. We lost over 1 million Americans from COVID. Most of those working age people.
Interesting.
And so we do have a huge labor deficit.
Right.
I know the numbers, unemployment's at a 50-year low, but we have so many open positions because we just let the workforce die.
Okay, so you got an aging population,
Yep.
right? You've got the COVID issues. We haven't had a major war that's knocked out. Of course, it's interesting when you hear Kamala Harris and some of these folks talk about the climate change. They say the biggest problem we have to lower our population. Have you heard that talking point? That
I've heard it from...
There are too many people.
From some nutty folks.
Yeah, there are too many people out there. So maybe as we analyze this, I'm thinking that your point about we have to replace the job market is all about folks coming over the border, especially kids, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And plus, you mentioned the war factor. Look at everybody who died in Iraq and Afghanistan, in the early days of that 20 years ago. Those people going over there 18, 19, 20, they'd be my age right now, members of the workforce.
Wow.
But guess what? Now they're not because we lied to them, told them they had to go find WMDs, and they went to their graves 20 years ago.
Yeah.